Understand English but can't speak?
Speak simple.
Speak confident.
English Boost.
Boost your English.
Hey everyone, imagine you're out hiking and suddenly your friend twists an ankle and you have no signal. In that split second, the words you choose could be the difference between getting help fast or staying stuck. That's the kind of high-stakes moment we're diving into today.
I'm Sarah, and that scenario is exactly why I was thinking about emergencies this morning. It's scary to realize how unprepared many of us are when we need to ask for help fast. Today we'll break down exactly what to say, no matter how nervous you feel.
I'm Alex, and I'll be bringing a research-based perspective to the mix. We'll explore the psychology behind panic, the linguistics of clear commands, and some real-world case studies. By the end, you'll have a mental script you can trust.
Listeners, you'll learn 3 core steps, a handful of phrase templates, and how to adapt them if English isn't your first language. We'll also cover nonverbal tricks like pointing and using text messages when you can't talk.
Our episode will be split into 3 parts. First, why asking for help feels so hard. Second, the step-by-step language toolkit. And third, practical drills you can try at home. We'll sprinkle in stories and a few surprising statistics along the way.
Stay tuned, because after this episode, we'll tease a special interview with a 911 dispatcher who shares insider tips. Ready to become a confident emergency communicator? Let's get started.
So Alex, what do you think makes it so difficult to ask for help when you're actually in danger? The science says our brain's fight-or-flight response hijacks the language centers, turning simple sentences into a jumble. That's why we often freeze or mumble, even if we know the right words.
Exactly, Alex, and that's why many of us never practice these moments. I remember once losing my phone in a busy downtown area. My heart raced and I could barely form a sentence. What most people don't realize is that a little rehearsal can rewire that response.
But here's what's really interesting. Studies show that people who use a calm, steady voice are perceived as more credible, which speeds up assistance. So the first rule is to regulate your breathing. Inhale slowly, exhale, then speak. It sounds simple, but it's a game changer.
Right, Alex. Let's talk about the actual wording. The most effective phrase is short, direct, and includes the action you need. For example, I need help, I'm injured, or call 911, please. No fluff, just the essentials.
And here's where it gets fascinating. Adding a specific detail can prevent confusion. Saying, I'm bleeding from my leg tells a bystander exactly what to prioritize. It also helps emergency operators triage faster if you're on the phone.
What do you think, Alex, about using location cues? If you can mention a landmark, near the Red Bridge or by the parking lot, you give rescuers a mental map. Even if you don't know the exact address, that context is gold.
Absolutely, Sarah. In fact, a 22 survey of 911 calls found that callers who gave a landmark reduced response time by an average of 2 minutes. That's a huge difference when minutes count. So always scan your surroundings for reference points.
Now, let's address language barriers. If English isn't your first language, you might worry about being misunderstood. The good news is that most emergency dispatchers have access to translation services, and they'll ask you to repeat key words.
Exactly, Sarah. One tip is to learn a few universal phrases in your native tongue, like help and ambulance, and then pair them with simple English words. For instance, ayuda, ambulance, please. That hybrid approach can bridge the gap.
And if you're completely unable to speak, nonverbal cues become vital. Pointing to the injury, showing a bleeding wound, or using the universal hand signal for stop can convey urgency. Some smartphones even have an emergency SOS button that sends your location automatically.
Speaking of phones, let's discuss the difference between calling and shouting for help. In a crowded public place, a loud, "Help, I'm hurt," can attract immediate attention, but you still want to follow up with a call as soon as possible.
That reminds me of a story I heard. A runner fell on a trail and shouted for help, but no one heard until a hiker passed by and called 911. The runner's initial shout bought time, but the phone call saved the day. The takeaway? Use both channels when you can.
But here's what's truly remarkable. Many modern phones allow you to send a text to emergency services, which can be a lifesaver if you can't talk. In the US, texting 911 works in select regions, and the message includes your GPS coordinates automatically.
And that leads us to the next subtopic, preparing a personal emergency script. I recommend writing down 3 go-to sentences and memorizing them. Something like, I need help, I'm bleeding. Call an ambulance, and my location is...
Exactly, Sarah. Research shows that rehearsed scripts reduce cognitive load by up to 40% during crises. You can practice with a friend, role-play scenarios, or even record yourself to fine-tune tone and clarity.
What do you think, Alex, about using mnemonic devices? For example, the acronym CALM, Clear Request, Ask for Help, Location, and Mention Injury. It's a handy mental checklist.
I love that, Sarah. Mnemonics are proven memory aids. Another one is SPEAK. Stay calm, provide details, emergency number, ask for assistance, keep speaking. The more you internalize, the faster you'll retrieve under stress.
Let's not forget the role of body language. Standing upright, making eye contact, and using a firm voice signal confidence, which encourages strangers to step in. Conversely, crouching or looking away can make people think the situation isn't urgent.
And here's where it gets fascinating. A 2019 field study found that victims who displayed open body language received assistance 30% faster than those who appeared withdrawn. So posture is part of the communication toolkit.
Now, what about group dynamics? If you're in a crowd, people often assume someone else will act. This is called the bystander effect. To break it, address a specific individual by name or description. You, the man in the blue shirt, can you call 911?
Great point, Sarah. Directly naming someone creates a sense of responsibility. It's also useful to use polite but urgent language. Excuse me, I need help right now. That balances respect with urgency.
Let's talk about cultural differences in asking for help. In some societies, admitting vulnerability is frowned upon, which can delay action. We can counter that by framing the request as protecting others. Please help. I need medical aid for my friend.
Exactly. And that framing also appeals to altruism, prompting quicker responses. Studies in cross-cultural psychology show that people respond faster when the request includes a communal benefit.
And for listeners who travel abroad, it's smart to learn the local emergency number, like 112 in Europe or 0000 in Australia, and a few key phrases. Even a simple help in the local language can bridge the gap while you dial the right number.
Speaking of traveling, let's not overlook the importance of carrying an emergency card with your medical conditions, allergies, and contact info. If you're unable to speak, a passerby can read it and relay critical details.
And that brings us to the final piece, post-incident debrief. After you've received help, take a moment to note what worked and what didn't, so you can improve your script for next time.
Absolutely, Sarah. Keeping a brief journal or even a voice memo can turn a scary event into a learning experience. Over time, you'll build confidence and reduce that panic response.
Before we wrap up, let's run through a quick role play. Imagine you're at a park, you've tripped and can't stand. Alex, what would you say?
I'd approach a passerby and say, "Excuse me, I've fallen and can't get up. Could you please call an ambulance and stay with me?" Then I'd point to my wrist where it's hurting.
Perfect, Alex. Listeners, practice that line until it feels natural. Remember, the goal is clarity, calm, and urgency, all packed into a sentence you can deliver under pressure.
That was a whirlwind tour of emergency communication, Sarah. We covered the psychology, the exact phrasing, nonverbal cues, and even cultural tips. I hope you all feel a bit more prepared now.
Me too, Alex. If you take away one thing, let it be the 3-step mantra. Calm, clear, call. Keep that in your mental toolbox.
And don't forget to write down your personal script, rehearse it, and keep an emergency card handy. Small habits make a huge difference.
Before we sign off, a quick reminder to subscribe to English Boost for more practical language tips. We drop new episodes every Tuesday.
Next week, we'll chat with a veteran 911 dispatcher who will share real-world stories and answer listener questions. You won't want to miss it.
Stay safe, stay prepared, and keep practicing those phrases. Thanks for listening, and see you next time on English Boost.